everybody. It's a Dirty Snirty Thursday. Hall of Fame Snowmobile Racer Joey Hallstrom is on the show today. How about that? We've also going to have a quick little update from the Daytona 500 weekend, Daytona Speed Week. Of course, Jason Berg is standing by down there. We've got him on the phone right now. He's helping out Bryce Hagelberg down there. We'll talk with him in just a minute. By the way, your Dirty Thursday, Snirty Thursday, brought to you by Executive Properties. Are you still putting off that project around the house that's been bugging you forever? Do you think you can wait until spring and call a contractor and have the work done ASAP? Well, good luck with that. Executive Properties has openings right now to get that project done. In fact, you can check out their Google reviews. Aaron says Chris and his team did a spectacular job in the damage to my aunt's garage and siding. Kept us up to date on the progress, and the finished product was amazing. Thank you for your professionalism and hard work. Hey, get that project done sooner than later. Call Executive Properties, 701-330-1273. Make sure you call them up, too, for snow removal. If you have any questions or comments, by the way, our phone number here, feel free to text or call 701-213-0863. Nick Curtis already texted in, morning all. And again, happy belated birthday, Nick. Hey, before we get going, let's do it, our daily segment called Jokes My Neighbor Tells Me. Here we go, Jokes My Neighbor Tells Me. You know, I once got kicked out of class in high school for being too sarcastic. Go figure, right? I got kicked out of class in high school for being too sarcastic. So the teacher yells at me, "What would your parents say if I called them?" I replied, "Hello?" All right, here we go. Let's see if we got him there. Jason, are you there?
I'm here, John. How are you today?
Good. Before we get going on the show here, Jason Berg, I know you guys are busy. I think you're going through tech right now, but Speed Week down in Daytona, what are you doing down there, man?
You know, just helping get Bryce to where he needs to go. I kind of help with the marketing stuff. We got to the track about 7:30 this morning. 8:30 was his pictures that he had to do, so he's ready for the TV. And we actually have a new sponsor for Daytona this year, two of them. Brenco from Fargo-Moorhead area is on the board of the car, and Karcher Pressure Washers, the Karcher Professional Company. So we're hosting sponsors this weekend down here, showing them around and having a good time, getting things ready. We practice at 4 o'clock today and then qualifying tomorrow at 12:30, I believe it is. And weather doesn't look good Saturday, but they say that's not supposed to rain till the afternoon, so we should be able to get the race in.
All right, Saturday, are you guys at 1:30? What time is that?
It's 12:30 Central.
Okay.
And if you're in the Fargo-Moorhead area, Buffalo Wild Wings, a great supporter of racing in the SM Grand Forks area, they have set aside a watch party room on the 45th Street Buffalo Wild Wings.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we do have some more Bryce Hagelberg apparel that I think will be there. Somebody's bringing for sale. We got hoodies and T-shirts. And if you got a minute, I got the man himself. He just walked in the door if you want to talk to Bryce for a second.
Hell yeah, I've been trying to get him on the show for 4 years. It's about time we get to talk to him.
Yeah, we'll get him on the show, I promise you. But here he is. I'm going to turn it over to Bryce.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good. How you doing, man?
Good.
Bryce Hagelberg.
Mr. Hagelberg.
Yeah. Hey, how different is it? Because, I mean, I've been to the Daytona 500. How different is it going around that track in an ARCA car compared to a Lightning Sprint?
It's a world of a difference, that's for sure. The draft was the biggest thing to get used to. You don't get a draft in a sprint car, but at Daytona in an ARCA car, that's the biggest key factor in the race.
When you look, hey, Bryce, buddy, Chad here. So happy for you to be down there. I already messaged you on Facebook and stuff like that. Good luck. But when you go and you're looking at what you got going on there for this weekend, are you still planning right now how you're going to attack this race?
Yeah, I feel like we've built up a pretty good notebook the last 2 years coming here, and I've told all my guys this third time I'm the most confident I've ever been coming into this race. I know we got a really good crew, a good sponsor, and a fast car, and confidence is key at a track like Daytona.
Yeah, it's true. That car looks beautiful, by the way. I love the sponsors on that thing. It looks beautiful.
Hey, first time you were
Thank you.
First time you were down there, there had to have been somewhat of a pucker factor, I would think, going around that racetrack.
Yeah.
And I mean, just the degree of banking is crazy.
Oh.
And if you're there and you happen to get down to the start-finish line down in that area, Bryce, check it out because the Bullring Boys, see if our autographs are still down there on the finish line. Would ya?
I'll look for it.
Yeah, we had a good time down there.
Hey, buddy, just so you know, man, we're all pulling for you up here, and good luck, and you have a great time, okay?
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
We'll see you this summer. You got it?
Yep.
All right.
I'll see you down there. Thank you.
All right, and make sure you tell Jason thanks, and that's awesome that he took time out of his day to give us a call. Bryce Hogberg down. He'll be running the ARCA race on Saturday, Daytona Speed Week.
Go get him, kid.
All right, yeah. And I'm guessing this guy's been wondering when the hell were you ever going to talk to me, but Joey Hallstrom, welcome to the studio. How are you?
I'm doing good.
You know, it's funny because I knew you. I've been gone from Thief River for a long time. Obviously, we knew each other way back in the day and kind of didn't know, or even think about it until we did the Hall of Fame thing here at the racetrack a couple of years back. And man, I tell you what, it was like going back in time when the guys that were in that group, I had so much fun because we got rained out.
Yeah,
and we all went to the long haul or something, but we got rained out and just sitting there looking at these guys going, well, they all look a little older, maybe a little fatter, a little less hair, like we all do.
With you.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Nobody recognized me because I lost all that weight, and look so much younger. So, but I had so much fun that night and got to start reconnecting. I mean, we've had Sturgeon on the show and we've had some other guys, and now you are here, and I am stoked for this show. How have you been?
Really good. That was a fun night. We've had a lot, the Guy Useldingers, the Brian Sturgeons, the Christian brothers, Dwight and Stuart were there, Archie Simonson. I mean, it was a really, really fun time. And whenever we get all the gang back together, it is.
And you were a part of that, just about that whole run. I mean, either doing the managing or racing alongside of them, but and we are going to get into this as we go through the show here. But right now, I want you to tell us about Joey Hallstrom, not racing, not Argo, not nothing. Just tell us a little bit about you, then we're going to get into the good stuff.
Well, I'm born and raised in Thief River Falls like you were. Mm-hmm. My passion was snowmobiles, especially watching Arctic Cat all through those years.
Oh, yeah.
And remember when they went down?
Oh, yeah.
That was a tough deal
it
for
sure
the town.
Was.
This winter reminds me of that winter, which is
yeah.
kind of sad. But, got the opportunity to, once I got done with school over at Bemidji State University, I came back to Thief River and I worked for Roger Skyme.
Yeah.
And,
great guy.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
And got to be in the groundwork of Arctic Cat. Mm-hmm. It was Artco at that time.
Yep.
And I tell you, it was more than a job. I mean, Roger always said that it was a lifestyle, and he was absolutely right.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And got to see the company grow. We had everywhere to go but up. We just kept going up. We never thought we would fail. I had the opportunity to spearhead our racing performance image.
Yeah.
Polaris was dominating when we got back in business.
They were.
Oh,
yeah.
my.
Yeah.
We'd go to a race, there'd be 40 red ones and one black Arctic Cat.
Yep.
Great.
But by right around the turn of the 90s, we really started getting focused on it.
We were whipping up on them.
Yeah, we had some pretty good runs, especially in 93 and all through the 90s, just strong in cross country, ovals, snowcross came into play, the drag racing, we really, really got our performance image going.
Yeah.
And Arctic was always about performance.
Yeah. And, from back in the day, before I moved to Thief River, I was in grade school, but I grew up outside of Crookston up until 5th grade between Crookston and Gently. So my old man was friends with Dale Cormican, Roger Jansen and Johnny Jansen, Vern Ricard. These are guys I knew as a child. And then I moved to Thief River in 5th grade, and then you start to get into the Larry Coltums, the Dave Thompsons, and then into the Hallstroms, the Sturgeons, the Pakes, and all of this. And I got to be there for the whole thing and get to know all these guys. And I still remember when Arctic Cat went down and then it went back up, because at that time, Bill Ness, God rest his soul, I mean, he just passed away recently, but I actually started dating his daughter and kind of got back into the whole snowmobile thing. But the whole history of the Arctic Cat, up, down, you know, and if I'm leaving any great names out there, I don't mean to. You got to throw in Tucker, you got to throw in Kirk, you got to throw in Rex, you got to throw in, I mean, who else? The Mike Carvers of the world, the Jerry Ericksons of the world. Wow. And now you're working for a company called Argo.
Yes. Argo is actually a Canadian company, but we have set up a Argo USA operations in Thief River Falls, and it's actually about 30 ex-Arctic Cat people, from whether it's engineering, parts, service, warranty, sales and marketing. It's kind of like we got the band back together.
Sure. And how fun is that?
Yeah, it's really fun. It's like an all-star team getting together. Everybody knows the other person's going to do their job, and they're going to do it well.
Right.
And
this is crazy because we're talking, you know, you think of, I'm just sitting here listening, you know, but you're talking about, you spearheaded the Arctic Cat into the performance world again back in the 90s, and now you're spearheading another company coming to the United States in Argo. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. It's fun. You know, I look back at the Arctic years. You know, Bill Ness, you just mentioned him. He passed away here just a few months ago. He really deserved an unbelievable amount of credit. He made sure everybody raced in the 60s and 70s that wanted to race.
Yeah. All you had to do was give him a resume, basically.
And, you know, Bill was a strong supporter that Arctic Cat, Team Arctic was out there, and you've seen it all through the 70s and how strong they were.
Yeah.
Even in the 90s when we were coming back, guys like Ole Tweet, Bill, Roger Skine. They were all... You know, Davey Thompson summed it up the best. I asked him one time, and I was 23 years old, just started there. I said, David, can we afford to go racing? Because we were just coming back.
Yeah. I remember you could buy a buck a share when they were coming back.
David said, we can't afford not to race.
That was a
that's
great
huge.
answer. Great answer.
And we did. Ole Tweet said that, you know, we were going to get back on the performance pedestal. We had to kick Polaris off,
and they did,
and that we went head to head with them on the racetrack. And we're good friends with them. We were competitors. And you know, it was really, really fun times racing against all the guys from Rosona and all around the country.
And you know, this sounds a lot like it does in the dirt track world. You know, these guys are banging fenders and racing each other hard all night long, and afterwards they have a couple of beers together and they're all good friends. You know, Eric Rice, I forgot to mention Blair Morgan. Yep, you're right. Heather, that's because Polaris is better. I can't believe I haven't repeated that. But
hey, you're the one that read it. Didn't you? You know, so you taking back to your Thief River days, you raced the Arctic Cat brand.
I did a little bit. Yep.
And you were doing like...
And in fact, the last one was after my plane crash. And I called Bill and I said, hey, I really want to run that Goodrich race. And so he got me, I went and picked up a Cougar with reverse and electric start. And I'm running that. I ran out of gas with about 1.5 miles to go. But I just wanted to prove to myself. I was still walking with a cane at the time. And I just wanted to prove to myself that I could do it. And I did it. But I have been an Arctic Cat guy. I just got rid of my last sled I got rid of was my 71 Panther with a 634 in it, mint. And that's in Thief River now somewhere. Last I heard, the guy that bought it's hiding it from his wife. So apparently he's got a few sleds. But I still have my Arctic Cat four-wheeler that I use all the time. But I am ditch pickle green. I mean, that is me. I always will be, and I'll never change, even though they're all nice. But that's me. And we're gonna find out. Things, tastes, brands do change as we keep talking with him. Now, when we talk about getting the old team together, were you back? I thought you were back in the old motocross. Did you ever do any motocross stuff with the Curdy Klostermans?
Oh, yes.
Let me see here. Thompson, what the heck was his name? Keith Johnson.
Jim Thompson, Keith Johnson, Rudy Stark, Dwight
Mike
Severson, Dahl, Jerry Erickson. You know, Jerry... he passed away last year. Jerry put together some unbelievable races and the start of race circuits.
Yes, he sure did. One of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, too.
And it was always fun. When we used to go racing, we'd all jump in Rudy Stark's van, and we'd put about 7 bikes on a 2-place snowmobile trailer, and away we'd go. And you know, we'd go to places like Bemidji, over by Grand Rapids.
Shevlin, remember back in the old Shevlin days?
We might go all the way down to Cambridge. That was
Yep.
a long haul.
Yep.
Now that's just nothing to go there.
Right.
So yeah, we did all that. We found a bunch of the photos and looked at them last year. That was all in the 80, 81.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
they were
yep.
all young and skinny. And
Yep.
you know,
Did you think that I would ever in a million years bring that up?
no.
I remember Mike Dahl when he broke both his arms. We were goofing around. I think it was out at Olson Pits or something, and he broke both his arms. And I remember going to visit him in the hospital. Jeez, pretty tough to race motocross when your arms are both in a cast. But
Yeah, he rode early in the year, and there was snow on the other side of a rise out at the pit.
yep.
And when the front tire went down in the snow, he went over and.
Yep. So
Yeah.
he remembers it
Oh,
too.
yeah. Knock on
Wow.
wood. I never had a bad accident racing dirt bikes. It probably wasn't, as fast as I probably should have
Yeah.
been. But yeah, it was, you're at that age and there was no worries. You could live on about $5, it seemed like.
Oh, sure you could.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Joey, what got you into that racing thing? What got your fire burning for doing something like that?
My dad bought a 68 Panther, so I would have been 7 years old. We took it to the fairgrounds. I got to drive it. I was a 7-year-old kid.
Right.
And so I always kept having snowmobiles and got to go watch some races. My dad was then actually driving truck for Arctic, and he got to haul a lot of the race sleds.
Yep.
And there was times when he would come home from a trip, park in the yard, and I'd do a run out on that trailer, and I'd sit on all those EXTs and everything, and just dreaming. And of course, the Jansons.
Yep.
the
Roger and
Ricards,
Johnny. Yep.
and all of them guys.
Viking Land Chalet.
That really got me intrigued on it. I didn't really get to race a lot when I was little. And we just didn't have the money.
Yep.
Right.
But I really got then when I was about a junior in high school. My dad was good friends with a gentleman by the name of Harvey Hansen in Thief River Falls. Harvey actually had a lot of race background in the early 70s and also with Chester Bowman and Garfield Bowman.
Sure.
And so Harvey was working on a sled for a friend, Bruce Lillevold, and they asked me to, at the end of the year, to race it up at Strathcona.
Oh, sure.
okay.
Yeah.
And
Huge. That was a huge race.
Famous
Yeah.
Strathcona.
Yep.
And so
There's a big billboard of it still through Strathcona,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. They still race there.
Yeah.
they race ovals there. They had a really neat cross country for many, many years. I remember running it. I was right behind one of the Zutz brothers from
sure,
Warren.
from Warren, yep,
And
yep.
I got a lesson that day. But after that, I was really hooked on it.
Yeah.
I wanted to race. I used to drive around the Arctic plant and see what was going on,
Yep.
and I followed everything. Well, then Harvey bought Jerry Erickson's 79 LT Grey cross country, and we went to Park Rapids. I finished in the top 20, which was a big race at the time. And lo and behold, the next week or so, they entered me in the Winnipeg to St. Paul race.
Wow.
Oh,
And
wow.
see, that was one of the ones I
That's
always.
gotta be a big one, too.
Yeah, I always wanted to run. That's ditch banging for 500 miles.
Yeah.
I mean, you ditch banging the whole way. See, with me now, with growing up, we were close. We were within 2 miles of all of those names outside of Crookston. Well, the Viking Land Chalet used to sell Viking snowmobiles. It was a bar and a grill,
Yep.
and we were their neighbors. We lived on that same road. Well, my first sled was a 71 EXT Special, and my dad had a couple of them, and I started down there and then took a lot of time off. I went from having motorcycles and snowmobiles. I was racing oval motorcycles before I knew how to ride a bike.
Yeah.
And then my mom and dad got divorced, and pretty soon I'm looking in the dumpster building my own bicycle, and
Yeah.
didn't start again until way, way later. But those were the days back when there was like 900 brands of snowmobiles. They were just tons of them. Things that you have, and I didn't even realize this. I guess I knew it, but it kind of slipped my mind. You end up being a race manager, I think in about 87.
Yep.
They named you race, but you helped launch the Jeep 500. You were the first NHRA snowmobile asphalt drag exhibitions. You kind of got that going.
Yep.
And the Jag Special, which was
Jag
a
Special.
sled that I put so many miles on. You kind of got that Jag Special going too. And explain how the Jag Special came about, because that turned into a sweet, slick little race machine for a lot of guys.
You know, you go back, you mentioned when I became race manager, I still wanted to race. And I ran the Thunder Bay race in '87 was basically my last.
Yep, Thunder Bay, yep.
But Davey Thompson, who I respect highly, he came to me and he said, we need a race manager. We need someone to direct where we're going racing. And he basically said, you should do this. It's hard to leave racing, but we have to have someone that's been racing and is willing to, grow it. So I took that on, and I was young, but thank God I had some good coaches.
Right.
And they helped me along. So I just used a lot of my past experience. Why, for instance, why we got the Jeep Thunder Bay race going again, because I just love the Winnipeg to St. Paul race. And
Yeah.
Ole Tweet again stepped up and he said, you make sure that race gets going because we need to win that race someday. And we may not win it for 3 years. So he put some money into it. We knew Polaris was going to win it,
Yep.
but we won it in 1990.
Yeah, I remember being.
This is cool.
Yeah, I remember being up on the Gunflint Trail up there, coming because I was with KKAQ Radio
Yep.
then. And it was me and I think Dave Halverson.
Dave
I don't know, Kurt
Halverson.
Quinnell might have been with us, but I remember,
And Olmsted.
yeah, Dale.
Dale.
And I remember interviewing Kirk Hibbert in the hallway of the motel, like it was late.
Yeah.
And I know I was full, and he was maybe a little full, but typical Kirk, no shirt on in the hallway. Like to thank my mechanic, Al Shimpa. That was Kirk. And I can remember Kirk and his brother Rex. They're coming out of Idaho, and next thing you know, they're living by Goodrich, and it just and then it snowballed because, well, after Kirk Hibbert, of course, came Tucker, and that's another long story in itself. I think I just hit my button. There we go. Now with that Jag Special, tell us about how that worked.
I got nothing for you, buddy. You turned yourself off, I think.
There, how's that?
I can hear you now.
How's that?
Yeah.
Tell us about how that Jag came out.
Well, there again, I look back at when I started racing. There was just one sled that everybody had to get on. It was a 340, whether it was an Arctic or an Indy. And we had the opportunity to have a sled for young guys, up and comers. And Ole Tweet came to me and said, we actually got a few, we have too many 440 fan engines coming in from Japan, from Suzuki. And he said, do you think you could get the guys and work on getting the twin carbs ready so we could have a Jag Racer?
Yeah.
So I went back, talked to Don Idy and the guys, and they said, let's go for it. So we put it together. Ole gave me free rein. We actually grabbed a camera. Larry Colton and I went out west. We shot some photos of it. We finished testing it. And we sold a lot of those Jag Specials. And CJ Ramstead labeled it the schoolboy racer.
Yeah.
And if you go back and look at a lot of the racers that have come through the ranks, they started out on a 440 fan-cooled Jag Special. And it was a marvelous sled.
Wow.
It was a good way. I wish the industry had something like that now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Kind of an entry level, if you would. I remember when the first Wildcats came out, the 900. Denny Bakke, Ryan Bakke had one, and we used to be river rats. We were down riding on the river, and he says, you got to take this thing for a spin. Well, you don't realize how fast you're going until you try to slow down, and I'm trying to slow down, and that part of the river where it turns, and if you go up the hill there's a big Schoberg house, all brick. I hit that bank. I was going too fast to make the turn. I didn't realize I was going that fast. I went by their house. I don't think I missed it by more than this much. I jumped up their backyard, right by their house, and stopped in the street in front of their house.
Holy no.
And got off and did one of those, woo! Oh man, we're
I'm
going through the good
alive!
day. Yeah.
Too many fish houses there now to do that.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
I about imagine.
Yeah, there is. Before we take a break here, when we talk about the NHRA Snowmobile Asphalt Drag exhibitions back in 1994, you kind of spearheaded that too. But I think a lot of that turned a lot of heads. I don't think people realized what snowmobiles can do, because let's face it, there's a lot of speed freaks out there that snowmobiles aren't even a thing. But I think that turned a lot of heads.
And that's a really neat story. We were down there in the summer. Dick Rowe was the owner, running BIR at the time. And we were looking at how we would lay out a cross-country race course around the road course. And Dick had one of the, I remember it was like a Pontiac Grand Prix, like a pace car. And we were sitting at the starting line of the drag strip. And I looked at Dick and I said, would you ever let me bring a snowmobile here and take a run down this quarter mile? Mm-hmm. He looked at me kind of funny. He goes, what are you talking about? I said, well, we test our snowmobiles on the asphalt outside of Thief River Falls in the summer. Mm-hmm. And we get the tracks wore way down so that they have good traction.
Yep.
And Dick looked at me and says, you bring that thing down here. I want to take it for a spin, and I'll tell you if we can. So we did. We ran it down there. Al Shimpa took it down.
Oh, sure.
Dick ran it. I think he did well over 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And he said, he drove back and he goes, I am calling NHRA and we are going to do an exhibition here.
Yeah.
So we did. We brought an 800 3-cylinder ZRT.
Sure.
Called Jim Dimmerman up.
Yeah.
Said, Jimmy, would you like to drive this? And of course, he was a real fan of going straight.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, absolutely. So we went there and we clocked 115 miles an hour and we were under 11 seconds.
Wow.
And
Holy
there was a lot of car guys going, wow,
Exactly.
you're under 11 seconds on a snowmobile?
Yeah.
Well, then that really turned into the next year, all four of us manufacturers got together and we agreed to bring 2 sleds each, 800s, with 2 pro drivers, and we ran right in front of the funny cars.
Yeah.
John Forrest was right behind us.
Isn't that cool?
Oh, that's
And,
so
man.
cool.
We got, the times went pretty fast. I think the first year Yamaha won it with a 998.
Wow. Anything under 10 seconds is
Oh,
crazy
yeah.
fast.
And I remember calling our track manufacturer and I said, do you think you could make me a slick? And they thought I was nuts.
Yeah.
But then the engineer said, well, yeah, that wouldn't be hard at all.
I would think, yeah.
So he went on to say, how hard, how much durometer do you want? And I said, I have absolutely no idea. Make me a soft, a medium, and a really hard rubber. And so next thing I know, 3 tracks showed up, and then we went testing. And then when you get there and they spray that traction liquid, VHD down, I mean, when you walk on it, it'll suck you right out of your tennis
Oh, yeah, it'll
shoes.
pull your shoes right off your
And,
feet.
oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
Those snowmobiles never slipped a quarter inch.
Wow.
And
Hold on.
it was so fun. It was clean. It was fast. You always got your timing sheet so you could look how your start, your 60 foot, your 8th, all that.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
So there's some good stuff for R&D too.
Oh, yeah.
In there, you know?
Yes, there was.
This is crazy. This is what's so great about this show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We talk about things.
Right now, I'm not talking much, and I'm just like, I'm getting a history lesson.
Well, and I'm thinking he's probably
love
thinking the
this.
same thing right now, going, wow, I didn't even think about that kind of stuff. But
I'm just like, holy crap. We're talking to a big innovator here that
Yep.
right here.
Right here.
This
and
is-
these are, I keep telling you, and you guys think I'm making this crap up, but I keep telling you I know all these guys.
Yeah.
And,
You know,
we
that-
do think he's lying half the time.
You know, and,
Yeah.
that asphalt drag racing, you should see how fast they're going now.
oh, God, I know. I
gosh.
see they just set another record in cars now, but...
They still do they still do it in the winter though, right? They still do drags in the winter.
Oh, sure they do,
They
yep.
still do the,
Yeah.
there's snow drags, there's
Yep.
ice drags. But
Grass.
Grass drags are big. But that asphalt, it was so clean. You could push
Yeah.
the sled around.
Oh man.
Yep. I got a couple of texts here. Tim Schwantz saw him the first time they ran a BIR, was really cool. He has also said great race history lesson. Tommy Kenville texted in. He said Charlie Lofton, another great racer. Yep. Eric Rice,
Yep.
Janelle Bakken. Wasn't she an Arctic Cat drag racer? Grass drags. Yeah.
Janelle was she was in the 90s there. It was hard to beat her.
Right.
Yeah. Her and her husband, they wwere just dominant.
This is so cool to hear this stuff. I follow on, I have a gentleman on Facebook, Mark Weiskopf. I follow him, and he does grass drags and stuff like that. And I was like, who would ever want to do that on a snowmobile? Go that fast, and like there's no roll cage, there's nothing there to protect you. I mean, and you're hauling the mail.
Oh, yeah. And if you're going that fast, I would much rather fall off on snow than grass.
So then I'm hearing right now, I just first time I heard about like snowmobiles doing on asphalt, and I'm like, in under 10 seconds? And oh my gosh. Like, this is awesome.
Oh, yeah. If you get to some of these mod sleds now and some of the ones that they're actually making for this, it's crazy.
Well,
I mean,
crazy
fast.
They're so low to the ground.
They're so low, and they accelerate off the starting line so fast.
Yeah.
They get there quick.
There. Yep.
Holy cow. Is there a kill switch for those things that they fall off?
Oh, yeah. There's a tether cord.
Holy cow.
This is already turning out way, way better than I thought it was going to. But we got to take a little bit of a break here, folks. Hall of Fame snowmobile racer. Joey Hallstrom is in the studio with us today. There we go. We'll be back with him in just a couple of minutes. Right now, I want to talk a little bit about Valvoline Instant Oil Change. If you're in a hurry for an oil change, you know what? Go to Valvoline Instant Oil Change. I'm usually in and out of there in about 20 minutes. I just sit in my car. While I'm in my car, they also are topping off my fluids. They check my tires, my battery, my lights, wipers, cabin air filter, all that stuff. And they don't just do oil changes, all right? They do a ton of things, including tranny and coolant flushes. They can text and email invoices and coupons, and if you mention us, Grand Forks Best Source, they'll knock $10 off your oil change. Pretty cool deal. They're open Monday through Saturday, no appointment needed. Pickup and delivery is available, too, if you live in Grand Forks. And if you have in the military, maybe, or if you want a fleet, they'll give you a discount for that. Check them out. They're at 3325 South 38th Street. Make sure you tell them Grand Forks Best Source sent you. They are, again, have pickup and delivery if you live in town. One more thing I want to mention before we get back to the show, the benefit tonight being held for Lucas Schaefer. It's at the VFW tonight from 5:30 to 9. If you don't know anything about Lucas, he was paralyzed. He's pretty much paralyzed from, it's like the neck down. He's got 5 kids. He's a business owner. And him and his family have a long road ahead of them. Go check out this fundraiser tonight. I can tell you right now, probably going to be one of the biggest ones I've ever seen. Just their silent auction alone. I know the Broken Drum is going to have food. It'll be a free will offering. They'll have the silent auction, the raffles, and all that. There's a GoFundMe too, and you can find out more about that by showing up tonight. It starts at 5:30, goes through 9. Benefit for Lucas Schaefer means a lot to us. In fact, they found his father had passed away yesterday too, and he didn't know that. It's just, man, I tell you what, when it rains, it pours. But I'd love to see you there tonight, folks. I'll be there emceeing it. A friend of mine, it's just too bad. But we can all help. It's not just his family. He's out in that, he's at a rehab hospital now out in Craig, Colorado. He will be for, I think, another 5 weeks, but so is his wife. It's not just rehab for him, but somebody has got to be there to help take care of him. So they're all there. She'll be here tonight, but we are back with Hall of Fame snowmobile racer Joey Hallstrom, not just a snowmobile racer, but so much to do with snowmobiling in its own.
Legendary.
Arctic Cat product manager in 1999. And then 2012, we're going to fast forward, you got the call to the Hall of Fame. I believe it was 2012. Now, here's the thing. It's funny because I always joke, people will ask me, when are you going to quit announcing racing? And I say, when I get in the Hall of Fame. I'll never get in the Hall of Fame. I'll be dead, but whatever. Were you thinking in the back of your mind, you know what? I deserve to be in the Hall. Maybe I should be in the Hall. Or were you just completely blown away, shocked, surprised when you got the call?
I was completely shocked. I was at the first Hall of Fame in 1988 when the people that you mentioned, the Jansons, the Thompsons, the Duhamels, the Bobby.
Oh, yeah. I remember meeting him.
You know, they had the first one in 1988. It was in Eagle River, Wisconsin. It was upstairs of it was a big room over the country kitchen. And I remember standing there just in awe of my heroes. And, because they were all there. And they were all the rock stars. And so, I thought about that, and I go, wow, that'd be pretty cool. I never thought about it. And then finally, like I said, in 2012, the call came, and I had to think about it.
Yeah.
And it was like, and it really wasn't for what I raced in race wins, because I didn't win big races, but it was for spearheading the Team Arctic back into existence, basically. And like you said, getting the 500 going with CJ Ramstead and some of the sleds that we built for racing, and just working and coaching, building the team, Kirk and Rex, Kirk actually coming back here to race full time.
Yeah.
And, bringing Brad Paik on and finding, Brian Sturgeon when the TNS boys out of Fergus brought him in. I mean, there was just, the list goes on and on and on. And it was a real honor. It's fun to see.
It's almost when you look at stuff with the Hall of Fame, it's like a gratefulness of the industry showing it to you. When you started doing that stuff, you didn't have that in your mind of a Team Arctic ad ever wanted to be. When you started spearheading it back into existence, you weren't like, I'm going to be in the Hall of Fame for this. That wasn't your program.
No, not at all.
You were there to be like, we're going to make this dominant again.
Yeah.
And then for them to make that call in 2012, it's like your whole purpose behind that was like they're showing their gratefulness to you. That's awesome.
I had a really good boss through the early 90s, Mark Blackwell. And Mark Blackwell was an ex-Suzuki racer.
Yeah.
He was a team manager. He was a marketing guy. And then they brought him to Arctic to head up Arctic snowmobile marketing. And so I had known Mark when I was racing motocross. I knew who he was. I read about him in magazines. And he just told me, he said, I really like your approach and your style as race manager because you came from the ground up.
Yeah.
And we did. I mean, when we got back going, when I was race manager in 87, we only had 6 snowmobiles to hand out. One went to Dave Wall, and 1 or 2 went to Kirk.
Sure.
And we didn't have much of a budget.
No, and you got to give the Wall brothers one. I mean, they have to.
Well, we had to.
They're going to take it to the next level even more.
We had to try, our hand in oval racing.
Yeah.
And our sled was heavy.
Yep.
It definitely was overweight, but that first AFS El Tigre was pretty cool.
Yep.
And we won some races with it, and we just started building momentum.
That is so cool.
And we didn't have a lot when we first started.
Yeah.
But it didn't take long, and the momentum, the snowball got really big.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And it started going downhill, and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. When we talk about the old school racers, a lot of people don't realize, you mentioned Duhamel, however you want to call it. I'm a French Canadian. Yvon and his son, I actually watched them race motorcycles at Brainerd International Raceway. But a lot of people don't realize some of the big names of racing actually were snowmobile racers. I mean, Jacques and Gilles Villeneuve were snowmobile. I remember watching them race the ovals. Dick Trickle, he's on my list. He was a snowmobile racer. A lot of these people don't realize. Al Bain's watching. Craig Hauser, love this. Joey's always a great conversation. Good to see you, Joey. That's Brady Johnson.
Craig, he says you talk more than he does, so.
That's all right.
Yeah.
That's what we like to hear. As we fast forward, Racer of the Year award, you got that because I remember thinking to myself, you see, Joey's wearing a cowboy hat, and which was at that time a lot of the racers. It seemed like, especially with the media and the pictures, a lot of the guys were wearing cowboy hats. I don't know if they wanted to look like they were Colorado guys or what, but what was it like to get Racer of the Year? I mean, that to me would be solidifying your chances at being in the Hall of Fame. But I bet you it's right up there, isn't it?
Yeah, that was a surprise too. Just the things that we did basically behind the scenes, you're kind of like the coach of the year. And I had a lot of support. I had a lot of people that I could count on, that we could implement what we needed to do for Team Arctic, because we raced all forms.
Yeah.
We had an unbelievable strong oval team, the cross country team, the drag racing, the ice Le Mans with Aaron Scheel.
Yeah.
The list goes on. And, we had good hill climb teams. So we wanted to be in all of them. And we worked hard at it. We may not have had the most budget, but just a lot of good hard work and fundamentals is what we did.
And you know, when you look at those days, with the R&D that's involved with racing, that's going to sell your snowmobiles, that's going to sell your product. But the marketing campaign back in the days was crazy good. I mean, the posters, you know, I can still remember when Mario Andretti was in town, staying at the Ramada Inn, or the Best Western back then, and I can still remember how Mario goes when it snows. You know, these posters, and I had them all.
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't believe my wardrobe, and I was looking, and I've still got my 88 race leathers, and I've still got some other things, but I used to almost wear all strictly Arctic Cat clothing, and I don't have anything anymore, and it bothers the hell out of me about that.
Do you? But it doesn't fit?
Well,
I thought you
my
had
racing leather looks more like Under Armour now.
Yeah, that's what you said. Yeah.
Pretty tight. Yeah, you almost got to
You
put.
have some stuff it just doesn't.
Okay, what's your point?
I'm not. hey, my stuff don't fit either from when I was. I don't have anything anymore.
And I want to give a shout out
shirt.
to Scott Schuster for helping me. He's helped me out a lot with getting these snowmobile guys on here, and I'm the one that brought up your name, and he goes, "Oh, that'd be perfect." And I was going to try to get him in here, but I think he's on his way out to.
Scott's actually he's on the board for the Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame,
and I think that's where he's on
his way there now because there's 4 inductees going in Saturday night.
Oh wow.
It's 4 every year.
Yep.
So this year you've got Levi Lavalli.
Oh yeah. Yep.
You've got Corey Davidson.
Oh gosh.
You got Jeff Ludwig, oval racer from Wisconsin, and then Russ Lemke was a drag racer. So you've got a mixture of 4 very good racers.
Corey Davidson, man, that guy, he did it for a long time. You know, we mentioned Brad Pake too, and when I got into getting away from snow and going to dirt, Brad Pake, I can still remember plain as day having the Arctic Cat colors on his sprint car.
Yeah.
And even Brian Sturgeon, back when they called them mini sprints, was an Arctic Cat ride there. And I know they used Sturgeon with the mini sprint for some R&D stuff too, because I think that's when the fuel injection was first starting to come out.
They ran a 600cc 2-stroke EFI, and it was fast.
He kicked the crap out of everybody every week.
At Greenbush.
600cc.
Yeah, at Greenbush, he went fast. Delray Gilbertson was his mechanic. They were spanking a lot of people with that package.
That thing would smoke like you wouldn't believe, but he won every time, just about every time at River City Speedway Tour, or whatever they called it back then. When you think of all the accolades and everything, all the awards and the history, and I know things go by so fast, but what do you have what you would consider the biggest win or race win or event in your racing career?
Well, you know, the 2 500s that Kirk won were really they were neat.
That's when the 500 was the 500.
The 500, you know, that's the one you want to win. That was the big bragging rights. Kirk's win in 1990 was pretty darn memorable because the year before we didn't fare very well, and Polaris took out an ad that said, "Dear Kirk and Doug." Doug Lamb was on the Yamaha, Kirk was on Arctic Cat. It said, "Yamaha and Arctic Cat must be very proud of you guys. You got in the top 20. It ran in the Star Tribune. And we took that full page ad and we put it on every door around the plant and of every department. And we worked for a year. And so you're looking at the spring of '89. We were up at Bemis Hill, just south of Roseau. And I took Roger for a ride on what we were working on as a 90 EXT special. And the whole key to it, we did some subtle changes to make it handle better, but we had Fox shocks on it. And you had to get Roger's blessing. And he rode it maybe a half mile through the woods. This was late March, and he stopped on the trail in his rough, growly voice said, "Joey, we're going to win the 500 next." And that was the blessing. So we decided to build 500 of those machines. That was the rule. Kirk and I flew out to California, met with Fox to make sure that they could build those shock absorbers for us, and because it was all new to them. And when we came out that following late fall or early December, we go to Pine Lake, dominate.
Yep.
Brian Nelson and his team just whooped up on everybody. We get in the 500. Kirk's behind by 25 minutes after day one.
Yeah.
But we weren't nervous because the way they flipped the field, he's going to be farther up, and he runs everybody down and he wins by 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
And that was absolutely amazing. Then we go to Eagle River. Brian wins. With the
dominant, yeah.
So we just started clicking them off. Boom, 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 boom,
yep.
boom. And so that was a pretty memorable year. And we had some other good years in the mid 90s too. I remember, Paik went on a tear there and won a couple 500s. 1 year at Eagle River, I think we won just about every stock class, the Formula 3, some of the mod classes. They made me an all-white suit, and I gave out them big white Team Arctic checks, and we gave away thousands and thousands of dollars that day because we won so much.
And every time you win, you're selling more sleds.
Yeah, but we had some dry years, so
You're right.
Yeah, well, that's true.
When we won, it was great, and it was fun.
That's so cool.
And then like you said, the development. We raced for marketing.
Yeah.
But Arctic Cat was so tied to the development. What came on those ZRs back then was what went on to production snowmobiles.
Sure.
And it didn't matter if it was skis, brakes, engines, chassis design, you name it. It was tested and ran on a race because if it works in racing,
It's going to work in real life.
Yep. And you mentioned You mentioned the number 500. Does it have to be 500 sleds then to be considered a production model? Is that why you said there's 500 of them?
Yeah, back then, all the manufacturers had a rule and agreement, that so you didn't go out and build 25 special sleds.
Right. And that's the way it should be.
Yeah, and now that's changed a little bit. It's not quite that high of a volume, but still, what the racing we're doing now, that is a production trail consumer snowmobile.
Yep.
The snowcross sleds, they're more just built for snowcross.
Sure,
they're like a motocross.
A motocross bike, right.
Exactly.
Sorry.
I got to ask this too because I just heard that. So, did you bring in Fox the first time for shocks for snowmobiles too?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, see? Yeah, crazy.
Yep.
Do you ever get in a bad wreck, sleds? Broken bones, any of
No,
that? Or were you one of the
I
lucky ones?
Knocked my shoulder out of the socket one time.
Rub a little snow on it and let's go.
Yeah, I was out for a few weeks. I tried racing over at Eagle River and it didn't work. That knock on wood. I had a few get-offs.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Probably the worst get-off I ever had was we were testing up in Alaska.
Those are the worst, the testings.
This was late October, and we were up there, and we plowed this 1 mile strip on the lake because we were going to work on our top speed. And the carbide broke through it froze a little bit that night. And next thing I know, the sled was going ass over tea kettle, and I landed on my back, and I bruised my tailbone.
Yeah. Oh.
And 12 days later, when we got back home, I went to the doctor in Thief River and pulled my pants down, and he looked at the tailbone, and he goes, "Oh, I bet that hurt."
Yeah. Thanks, Doc.
Yeah.
Daryl, one of our Canadian followers, good morning, Bullring Boys, GFBS crew and guests. Great show as always. Cool stories and great history. Cheers, boys.
Amazing history today.
Yeah, amazing. Lawrence Burbrick, I wanted to throw his name out there. He was Arctic Cat, the truck driver there, the support driver.
Parts guy.
Good friend of mine back in the day. We hunt around there. What are you pointing at?
No, your camera's good.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to throw that name out there. Okay, now let's fast forward again. I know we're getting close here, but now if we can hold that poster up.
I'll try.
Oh, I got it queued up.
Okay. Let's show the poster.
Not that one.
Not that one.
That's a good one too, though.
Yep.
There it is.
There we go.
That one.
Okay. We got the pro. We've got your son in there and your daughter. So you got a son and a daughter now carrying on the Hallstrom name. How cool is that?
It's, we've always had it. We snowmobiled as a family. The kids started racing, put them on 120s.
Sure.
And got them weaned in on that. And they just, it kept on. we went through the ranks.
Yep.
Did the KC Pro West stuff and got into the transition in the juniors. And, it's a family affair. And now it has grown into where we had the opportunity to join the Christian Brothers Racing crew out of Fertile, Minnesota. Of course, they were longtime Arctic Cat. A lot of racers came out of there. Logan just retired from snowcross this past year. And Dwight and Stuart decided to keep the shop going. And they really had a strong background in cross country. Because their dad sponsored Dale Cormican.
And, back in the day.
So they just said, we're going to be riding Skidoos. And Skidoo was they wanted to get a strong team in the cross country. So we said, yeah, let's go for it. We watched them, how they worked, because we were racing against the Skidoos and we seen some strong positive things. And unfortunately, we don't have a very good winner.
Oh, well.
And
yeah, that kind of
sucks. Yeah, it does.
And this winter reminds me of 1981 when I was the same age as my daughter right now. The 500 got canceled. All the races were on lakes if they could race back then. And now we've only raced at Pine Lake this year. Jesse and the whole team had a good run at Pine Lake. And we will be back on the lake next weekend. Natawash. They're actually going to run 2 weekends back to back. They got good ice on North Twin. And I expect to be a heck of a crowd. That Snowdio draws a lot of people. And we've got kind of a soft spot for that race. Because my uncle, my godfather, was one of the originators of the Snowdio. His name was Dwayne Walsberg.
Oh, wow.
And he worked with Dick Lavoie and all them guys down there. So I remember going there as a little kid.
This is so funny because I'm guessing him listening to us right now, it's like we're talking a different language because
I love it. This is awesome.
We're going way back. Do you still have, I would imagine you have still probably got closets full of Arctic Cat gear. How was that going from Arctic Cat to Skidoo for you?
Well, it shocked a lot of people.
It shocked the hell out of me, man. It really did. But you got to do what you got to do. It's not Joey Hallstrom racing anymore. It's it's Jesse and Gabby that are racing now.
And it's just like, football players, hockey players switching to other teams, and you've seen other guys in cars and motorcycles switch other brands. It's just when Blair left Arctic Cat to go to Skidoo, that was a big deal. When Todd Wolf left Polaris to go on the Skidoo team. And he did a hell of a job.
He sure did.
There wasn't much happening on the yellow camp when Todd went over there.
There wasn't.
And, he ended up winning several 500s.
Except for on the ice. They were a little different on the ice. But
so, it was... it was a change, but it's been a good change.
Sure.
At the end of the day, snowmobiles are snowmobiles, and if you love them, you love them.
It's exactly right. Before we let you out of here, I know you got to get going, but people influenced, people that helped you along the way, can you throw a few names out there? I mean, we've already gotten a hell of a history lesson here, and I'm sure a lot of the names are going to be repeated, but, for all good things, there's always help, in the background. The people that don't get... they don't get the Racer of the Year award. They don't get in all the media pictures, but name a few people that helped you along the way, Joe.
Oh, boy, I tell you, through those Arctic years, of course, Brian Nelson, Hubert Fixon, Kevin Thompson, David's son.
Sure,
Kevin and I
the oldest of the three boys.
We were two culprits together. He kind of spearheaded the engineering side of the ZR, came to every race with me on the weekends. Kevin and I raced in 86 together. We couldn't have done it without him. The guys at Fergus Falls, Steve Thorson, Dean Schorzwalter, marvelous snowmobile brains. And Steve with his race car stuff. Man, the list, just goes on and on. And some of the good racers, I mean, the Jeremy Files, the Brad Pakes, the Aaron Shields, the Jim Herzigs, the DeVault boys. I mean,
and you're going to sit here and think to yourself on your ride back to Thief River, God, I forgot to mention him, I forgot to mention him, and I forgot to mention him, but I think they all know.
Yeah, it's just, and then, Unfortunately, I had moved out of the race department kind of when Tucker was just coming in. We were still in the race shop, and we built up a little Puma for Tucker to go to Pine Lake.
Yeah.
And he ran that real little racetrack. And then the following year, Kirk came to me and said, I want Tucker to go racing, but I'm still what I'm doing.
Yep.
I said, let me talk to Russ Ebert. And we asked Russ, because Jeremy File and Dan Scallop were just getting done with their careers.
Yep.
We asked Russ Ebert, could you take Tucker racing? Boom. History was
The rest
made.
is history. And then television came into play, and racing is so much different now. And of course, you're going to get more people watching TV because of the snowcross, because you can.
Yep.
It's not like finding on a cross country race, you go look for, like Paul Vodova said, you look for the crossing with the most cars sitting parked by it. That's the best you could do to watch. And anyway, but this has been an incredible show. I'm going to tell you right now, this is probably going to go up there as one of my top 5 favorites.
It has to.
It's been
I
a
think
great show.
The amount of stuff that we've learned and everybody watching's learned. I mean, me sitting here, usually I talk my ear off too, but sitting here just listening, I appreciate you doing what you've done for us in the past. My dad's going to crap his pants once I tell him who I met today, because I remember back in the 90s, my dad and mom, we went on family vacations, and we went through Thief River, and my dad was a big Arctic Cat guy, still is to this day. And his biggest thing on that, we took a plant tour. I did that tour thing in there.
Yep.
I mean, and just learning all that, and then when I moved out here, and my dad was like, "Oh, you got to go to that plant again. You got to go check that out. Remember we did that when you were a kid and all that stuff." And so now, Dad, guess who I talked to today? Like, I talked to the guy that innovated freaking Arctic Cat racing. Like, this is
one of the guys.
I appreciate you very much. This is so cool.
Thank you. This was fun.
I tell you what, open invite. You want to bring the kids with or whatever to the racetrack this summer? Let us know.
Yeah,
Chad and I
100%.
will give you VIP treatment.
We will come down to the
absolutely.
middle for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we try to get over there quite often. Love when the World of Outlaws come. And hopefully, like Andy Pake will be at River City.
He's supposed to be running a 410 this year,
410,
so I'm looking forward to it. Good kid. We tried to get the old man to come up with him when he was on the show, but he wouldn't make it. Joe Hallstrom, thank you so much, man, for coming in. We're going to wrap this thing up right now. Boy, I want to give a shout out to Rumors Sports Bar Casino for bringing you a Dirty Thursday. Matt and Rumors, they are spot on. If you want to watch UND hockey team this weekend, they're back in action. Check it out, Rumors. They are wall-to-wall TVs. Go get yourself some great lunch. In fact, a sandwich and a side today is only $7, all right? See, they got another sports card and memorabilia show coming up, too. So make sure you go check that out, too. Rumors Sports Bar and Casino. Look at that. There's the picture. Right behind us, right over here in the Grand Cities Mall. Come and check that out, all right? By the way, Nolan Olmsted and Heather McDonald from Devils Lake Speedway going to be on the show next week. It's time to start talking track schedules again for the new year. And Chad's not going to be here. Too bad for you. We'll have to find maybe Steven. Anyway, there we go. So they'll be here next week, all right? Boy, a ton of things going on today. Big screens and TV streams at 1. Fork Sports Highway tonight at 6:30, where the crew's going to be talking about Taylor Swift and some other football game that went on last Sunday. And then the Brew Brothers podcast. If you like beer, you're going to love the Brew Brothers podcast at 9 o'clock tonight, all right? All great shows. Tune in. Remember to like, share, tag, and follow us. Hit that notification bell on your smartphone. Share this show to the whole world, all right? Hey, we all know the Grand Cities are grand. Grand Forks' best source is giving them an identity again.